Where is he going to get this money?
He'll work hard to raise it. I think he can do it.
Will you be buying one of these gold sneakers?
I collect watches. You really think people want to invest money in New York after this? New York is turning itself into a flyover state. Remember, New York has the highest taxes in the country, the worst regulatory environment, and it's incredibly mismanaged. And New York is slowly becoming the #1 loser state in America. I'm sorry, that's what's happening.
New York. What the hell is going on? Hey fam, welcome back to One and Done. The Don again is on the receiving end of the DNC and their DOJ. 555 million. I know New York is desperate for funds. They've got a little bit of a problem out there on them streets. But hell, does Donald Trump have to cover all the migrants? Does he have to foot the bill for this little credit card scheme they've got going on there? But don't worry, this is just adding fuel to that fire. Some people say Donald Trump's thin-skinned, but he's like a rhino right now. But today we're going to be having a look at this interview between CNN and Kevin O'Leary. Now, putting Trump aside, Kevin O'Leary sees a real issue moving forward for business and entrepreneurs that may or may not want to deal with New York in the future. Let's find out what he thinks about the case. What are some of the knock-on effects and impact on New Yorkers and businessmen? And in the end, where does this all leave New York? Without delay, let's roll that tape.
Let me just jump right in here. Last time you and I spoke about the possibility of what the fine could be in this case. We now know what it is. It's more than $350 million. That's a huge financial hit. And I'm wondering, where is he going to get this money?
Actually, it's closer to $500 million with a 9% interest, assuming it'll take 18 to 2 years to actually settle this in an appeal, which I think it should be appealed. He'll work hard to raise it. I think he can do it. But I don't think this case is about Trump anymore at all, because you heard the governor of New York come out yesterday and say, look, everybody, don't be scared about doing business in New York, because the only people we prosecute are people like Donald Trump who don't behave well. That didn't go over very well with the investment community, because we're all asking each other, who's next? This was a victimless crime. Nobody lost any money. And a judge out of nowhere put on a $355 million penalty. I mean, who's next?
Wow. What are we talking about here, folks? We're talking about a fine. $355 million. How is Donald Trump going to pay that? Well, you know he's a top G and he's already started to sell his shoes. I don't think that's going to be a problem. He'll get money from anywhere and everywhere. He's an innovator. Kathy Hochul had to come out and do a press release to reassure all the business community, hey, New York's a great place to invest in. Don't go running scared just because we're trying to finish Donald Trump off. Doesn't mean we're going to do that to you, because you guys are nice people and we can be trusted. Kevin O'Leary asked the question, hey, business community is saying, hey, who's next? And hell, this is a victimless crime.
I don't want to cut you off, but I hear about the so-called victimless crimes, but the laws on the books, falsification of business records in second degree, issuing false financial statements, insurance fraud, conspiracy, and all these different aspects of it, those are actual crimes. I take it your point is that these should not have been prosecuted?
Well, my point is there's never been a case like this in 75 years. Everything you just listed off is done by every real estate developer everywhere on earth in every city. This has never, ever been prosecuted.
Now, our CNN anchor has just rattled off a laundry list of what she calls criminal offenses. Kevin O'Leary comes back and says, that's okay, but no one's been charged in 75 years for any of this stuff. This is almost the equivalent of jaywalking when it comes to the real estate industry. Now, if you've got money, Kevin O'Leary is going to tell you where to stick it.
But here's the real point that people in New York should concern themselves with. You can put your money anywhere. I'm a real estate developer. Do you think there's a chance I would ever take a chance on New York again? New York is turning itself into a flyover state. I have to build data centers now. I'm not going to go to New York. New York has power. It's got fiber optics. It's got Niagara Falls. But no, we're not even thinking about it. We're going to places that have the exact same thing, where we have rational governors that have never done this to investors. This is about New York and its people. If I were in New York today and I was living there, I would ask myself, maybe we should hire better management. Why is this happening to us? Why are we becoming a flyover state?
All that's going to happen is New York is going to become the boogeyman for business, entrepreneurs, and investors. Now, they claim they're tough on crime, but if you look in the streets, they are far from tough on crime. They're tough on Donald Trump. Now, is Trump going to be funding this illegal migrant situation that they have? 355 mil. Who's going to get all that? Why are you punishing entrepreneurs, people that want to invest in your state, the job creators? Because they are going to be leaving in bucket loads. Just watch.
I do wonder how many people take issue with the idea that every investor is engaged in falsifying business records, and every investor is engaged in what has been accused of Donald Trump and the Trump organization. Because there's probably a lot who are saying to themselves, I've never falsified my business records. I know what a square foot looks like. I know what I can ask for and what I have the money to support. So I wonder to what extent that really is true. But on the second point, wouldn't there be many companies who would not want to do business or loan money to people like yourself or investors if they know that they can get away with fraud and there's no recourse to protect them?
Excuse me, what fraud? This is not about Trump anymore. When you get a developer that builds a building and he says it's worth $400 million and he wants to borrow $200 million from a bank, which happens every day, everywhere on earth, including every American city, every developer is an entrepreneur. They shine the light on their building and they say it's worth 400. The bank does its own due diligence, as was done in this case, because they're very good at it. The banks are very good, and they say, no, it's worth 300. We're only going to loan you 150 million. That haggling has gone on for decades. That's how it works. And then in this case, even the bank that was supposedly defrauded testified and said, we didn't lose anything. We want to do business with this guy again. We'd like to. But the judge said, no. Let's penalize this developer for 355 million. And if we're going to do that, let's penalize all the developers all across America. They've all done the same thing. All of them should go to jail, and we should stop building buildings. That's what the message is from New York.
Now, Kevin O'Leary's nailed it. The banks have due diligence. You can say your property is worth X amount, but the bank comes along and says, we think it's worth 2/3 of that. So why aren't the banks implicated in this? Once again, it comes back to no victims at all. Here's the problem when you have governments that have socialist agendas. These lunatics, they want to penalize the contributors and prop up the people that lean on and rely on the system. The dependents, the teat suckers. You're seeing the lunacy of the left firsthand. You don't have to be a liberal or a conservative. You just have to have common sense. They are showing their true colors. Why are they prosecuting him today for this? In the middle of an election cycle. In fact, on the home straight, where he is leading Biden handsomely. All this is doing is galvanizing the nation around Donald Trump. Even people that weren't that keen on Donald Trump are coming to his rescue. They are literally loving the guy. They see themselves in him. They see that he is being treated unjustly and they feel as though they are. Middle class people that are hard workers, whether they're truck drivers, they work in a factory, where they can see these lunatic left politicians are spending their money, their taxpayer dollars, hand over fist, prioritizing illegals over citizens that are contributing, that are taxpayers, that are struggling to put food on their table and put gas in their tank.
Even the governor herself is concerned about what this looks like to investors all around the world. It's not just U.S. domestic. All around the world, people are talking about what happened here. You really think people want to invest money in New York after this? How about we go somewhere else?
I think there are people who would, I don't want to cut you off, but I want to converse with you instead.
You just did.
It's only because I want to have a conversation,
you know what?
Kevin,
I respect
as opposed
you,
to just having you tell me.
I respect you because you're a lawyer. You're a lawyer. You understand exactly what I'm talking about.
I got to tell you, I'm respectable for a number of reasons, Kevin O'Leary, but being a lawyer is one of those issues. But I'll tell you.
Sister, please. Now, Kathy Hochul, is she really concerned? Just like all of them, she's going to bleed the system dry, get everything she wants and needs, and then she's going to step out. She's got nothing to worry about, not a worry in the world. Because when you're rolling with that sort of money and you have that many connections, you just can't lose, can you? The only losers out of this shambolic situation is New York City, New York residents. But you know what to do? New York, come to your senses.
I understand that there are legitimate concerns that were raised during the trial and will continue to be raised about who the quote unquote, who is actually bringing the suit. It wasn't the banks who were saying that we as consumers or unsophisticated feel this way, but Letitia James, the Attorney General, and I know you want to expand beyond Trump, has suggested, well, it's about making the playing field level for those who are not the major and billionaire investors, but for those who are supposed to put business records out there, want to get a loan, the idea of making sure that they have to have the same true statements included as those who have a lot more money. Is there any weight to that for you?
Well, I ask you who lost money, and I'll make it even clearer. You and I, we're developing a data center together, and I say to you, we can go to New York where this just happened. It's your money now. You're now an investor and you're taking risk. You're an entrepreneur with me, right beside me. We're together on the deal. Or I can show you Oklahoma, North Dakota, West Virginia, where the governors actually ran businesses. Let's go there where this never happened before. They have power. They have permits. They've got legislation that's supportive of entrepreneurship. Why would we go to New York? Why take the risk? My only point is, did we just diminish the great state of New York and the great people of New York? And shouldn't they ask for better management so they don't become a flyover state? Remember, New York has the highest taxes in the country, the worst regulatory environment, and it's incredibly mismanaged. And I'm pointing out now, on top of that, you get this insanity, a victimless crime. And forget about Trump. It's not about Trump. I don't care about Trump in this. I care about America, and I care about entrepreneurship, and I care about democracy and the fairness. The judicial system is now being criticized. People are asking themselves, the bar of New York, is this judge rational to charge $355 million in a case where no one lost any money? Is that good for the people of New York? Should the people of New York wake up to this and say, what's happening to us? Why is this becoming so perverse? Why are we the focus of this injustice? And I, nothing to do with Trump. I'm not supporting Trump. I'm supporting American entrepreneurship. And New York is slowly becoming the #1 loser state in America. I'm sorry, that's what's happening.
So there we have it, folks. Kevin O'Leary calls New York a flyover state. In other words, people aren't going to stop and do business in New York. And one of the USA's biggest tourist destinations, New York, may be no longer. So Donald Trump cops a fine of $550 million. 555 to be exact. And with interest, it's going to end up being almost $500 million. How can the DNC and the DOJ justify slapping that charge on Trump as he's leading Biden in the polls and he's heading towards the election? This has to be election interference. Kevin O'Leary also calls New York the loser state, the last place that they're going to do business. New York is the most expensive city to do business in. The taxes are the highest, and out of 50 states, it ranks dead last when it comes to ease of doing business. So I guess time will tell. So that's it from me, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to leave your comments down below and I'll jump in and respond as I normally do. If you want to help a brother out, help me get to the 1,000 sub club. Don't forget to hit the like, smash the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and share these videos far and wide, and I'll catch you in the next video.